What's going on, y'all? This is your girl, Artistic Genius. We back with Couch Conversations, episode 4, with my boy, Prodigy, the poet. All right, we're going to get personal. We're going to talk about the poetry and just his journey in general and how he got to this point in his life. So tell the people who you are, what you do.
What's up, everybody? I am Jay Price. I go by Prodigy, the poet. I am from Flint, Michigan originally. Moved here in 2020. And yeah, I've been doing poetry since 7th grade, I think. The summer of 7th grade. And then first time slamming was in 2010, December 2010. And then went to Flint's first Brave New Voices team in 2011. And just did a bunch of stuff from there.
Listen, you heard it. He started in 7th grade, okay? That's crazy. So you probably did you start writing like before 7th grade, or did you feel like you really...
There was a teacher that I had in 5th grade, Miss Mia Barnett. I loved her. Brown skin, like that. That was my baby in my head.
Okay.
So I started writing like little love poems here and there. And then I did a talent show. I did a talent show in 7th grade, summer of 7th grade. There was a talent show I did at University of Michigan, Flint. And there was a girl that I was interested in, so I wanted to be backstage with her. So in order to be backstage, I had to have a talent, ended up doing poetry. Yeah, and then it just like went on from that point.
Listen, it's been a journey, huh? I got a few questions I want to ask you. You know, you already said what you do and how long you've been doing poetry. So you're originally from where?
Flint.
From Flint. Okay, so that's how the connection came with Cassandra and Cease.
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
That makes
so
sense.
Cease, I met her at OU, so I want to say like maybe 2016, 2017 when I was going to college there. Mm-hmm. And I don't even remember exactly how we met. But I know we met and we clicked.
Right.
And then we just ended up staying cool. And then within this last year and a half, we just got closer. We just reconnected out of nowhere. And then just started talking. And then Cassandra, I don't remember where we specifically met either. But I know every time I see her, I'm always excited.
Right, that's crazy, the connection right there.
Yeah.
So do you ever go back to Flint and like do shows? And like how is the art world out there? I've been to Detroit, but I have not been to Flint.
Flint is spotty. I went back, what was that? Last year. Mm-hmm. I went back and did a show last year with one of my old friends. He had through something. He does a show. Flint is small. So like, probably Youngstown with a Cleveland vibe.
Okay.
So it's small. It used to be like really ran by GM, like that's where everybody worked in the plant. So as far as art goes, I had a show when I was there. A friend of mine had a show when he was there also. But as far as like present day, there's a couple people still doing it, but it's not as big as
not
Detroit.
A big presence there.
Yeah, not at all.
That makes sense. Okay. If you could write a poem to your younger self, what would you title it? If you haven't already, because you know.
I really like that question. Wait, if I had...
now you gotta get that inner child.
Man, oh God, the inner child. Yeah. If I had to write a poem to my inner child, it would probably be titled "You Are Loved" or something around there, or something in that neighborhood, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I would have needed to have heard the most.
Yeah, that's deep.
It's like I heard it from my family, but then I don't know, I just never believed it. So I needed to hear it for myself and like actually stand in that, and then like that probably would have stopped a lot of unnecessary decisions along the way. So yeah, something along the lines of "You Are Loved."
What do you think was preventing that barrier from you truly believing it? Do you think it was circumstantial based, like external circumstances?
Yeah.
Or do you think it was like societal pressures or peers?
More so that, and me comparing myself unnecessarily. So like I wasn't I wasn't bullied or the bully, depending on who you ask. But I was just always in my own little bubble. But then I only noticed that I started comparing myself when I looked at other people's decisions. Like if I was dating somebody, and then it just always happened that everyone that I dated ended up going for somebody light skinned. So after a while, I was like, damn, well, ain't nothing I can do about being black. So what I could do, oh, he got tattoos, I'm gonna get tattoos. His ears are pierced. So granted, I actually like what I have, but I wouldn't have gotten it if I would have been more secure in myself. Like, oh, well, damn, I guess it didn't work out. Let me just move on. But it's like, you don't always have that, at least not without experience. Like, you grow into that. So it's kind of hard because a lot of times when I think about my younger child or my younger adult or any younger version of myself, it's hard to give myself grace because now I know better, but back then I didn't. So it's so hard to look at myself objectively and just say, hey, it happened. Like one of my real close friends, Chelsea, she has this quote that she created where she's just like, take the lesson, leave the shame. Ooh. Because we get so caught up. Yeah, definitely shout out to Chelsea. And even implementing that to who I was 5 years ago or 5 minutes ago, like, I think if I wasn't trying to be perfect to somebody else's definition all the time, I would have been better off.
Yeah, and we don't come into this world, it's so crazy you said that because I can relate to that. We don't come into this world like feeling that. We're kind of like conditioned in a way by like our surroundings, so we kind of just like take things on and we just carry that baggage along the way. But through growth, like you said, like you can actually find that self-confidence and just be like still in like who you are and really knowing that for real.
And then it's so interesting because you never know until somebody points it out. Like somebody be like, oh, why he got those shoes on? It's like, well, shit, I thought
I like them.
Right, and then Lord forbid I like what I have on. Like, Lord forbid. Like everybody's like, oh, you have to wear this, you have to wear that, and it's like y'all got all those labels and can't dress. What was the point? Like I could have just put on what I had instead of trying to keep up with you or listen to, because again, like I said, we don't know that we're different until somebody points something out. Like you don't. My great grandmother is Cherokee and Creole. She's from Louisiana. I thought everybody's granny had an accent, so I started talking to people's grannies that was just from regular Chicago or just regular another place from Michigan. Like you never notice that you stand out until you have to, or until it's pointed out to you.
Yeah, that conversation was actually going on TikTok about like how so our president, well, they president,
I'm presidentially single.
Then the tariffs and everything going on with China, how they're pretty much spilling the beans on like how much this stuff actually costs. And I think they pointed out like Summer Walker was saying she goes around, like she wears fake chains and fake purses and stuff like that because it's like, who am I doing this for? But like when celebrities do it, it's okay to do. But when, a regular person is like looked at a certain way, like, what are those?
Yeah, and even when Adidas dropped Ye shoes and they were showing up on Shein and Fashion Nova and all these other places, people are like, oh, those are knockoffs. I'm like, it's the same shoe. Yeah. It's quite literally the same shoe.
And it costs about the same amount now that we know what's going on.
But then everybody always knew. I'm like, this was never a secret. We all knew that. But then like the masses are just so like...
Yeah, mass media.
It's terrible. Because I don't know if you saw Nike, because Nike was like, we're not bringing any shops over here because it costs too much. Oh, they're using sweatshops. We knew that.
Yeah.
We all knew that.
Yeah.
Like, how is this?
Yeah. We've all bought into it. We've all been, the consumer. So, yeah.
I think the value that people put on things is crazy because it's like, why does it matter to you?
Yeah.
Like, if all of your stuff is red bottom, Louis from head to toe, that is so great. I love that for you. Keep going. Let me have on what I found. And then a lot of times thrifting is so fun. But I never find nothing I like. It's always either too big or too small. But now too big is in style, so I can go and grab a couple of those. But you can go thrifting and find so many things, like just gems.
We're going to have to go thrifting one day. Make a channel like that.
Yes, I would love that.
I'd be in there just snatching stuff. Like, what, this might look good. I also resonate with that, just coming to your own and being able to like what are the things that you actually like versus like trying to keep up with trends? Like, you know, the younger self did that, but you know, you gotta get out of that.
And then I think I'm getting to the age where the stuff my mom said is starting to make sense, and I don't want to keep telling her she was right. But like, Lord forbid that woman had some experience. Like, but seeing that everything comes full circle, because like the whole baggy look, I'm like, we did that in high school and middle school and stuff. The difference was it was overly baggy. We were sagging with this. So it was like, okay, have it baggy but thoughtful. I'm like, but this is literally the same thing. And then like the bright colors come. I'm like, wow. This is all the circle.
Yeah.
This is literally all the circle. Everything comes right back around. And it's in every aspect of life.
Yeah.
Like just, not even just clothing. Like you, again, grow up not knowing yourself, trying to figure who that is. And somehow you always end up back to yourself, even though you don't know who that person was or who it is. And you just look up one day like, oh, I'm comfortable now. Like, I feel settled. Like, you know, everything literally does the same thing in some aspect.
Yeah, that's a fact. Come on now. Okay. And speaking of that, and like just going back to your younger self, like who were some of the poets that inspired you like growing up, or that you feel like some of your biggest inspirations today?
First of all, Nikki Giovanni, rest in peace. I love Nikki Giovanni, specifically Cotton Candy on a Rainy Day. And then there's a poem in there where she talks about, if I can't do what I want to, I need to do what I can, knowing that there's room for more. Loved it because she spoke so plainly and then just very beautifully, very direct. I love Nikki Giovanni. And then outside of that, Strivers Row.
Come on, I mean, Strivers they don't.
No more. They don't. Zora Howard, when she got on there and did waffles, like Zora's before bed, Jasmine Mans.
Miles Hodges.
Where
is Miles Hodges?
I don't know.
Carvin's the son. Like he put an album out a few years ago, and then I haven't really heard much after that. You did?
I met him at B&B.
Yeah.
In 2011, I met him. I met Rudy Francisco as well. I love Rudy. And then some poets back at home like Ed Wilson and Truth Be Told and Godson.
Truth Be Told, oh my God,
it's
coming back.
Truth Be Told, and then Godson and Theory and Fire and Amber Hassan, like a lot of the Flint got some writers there, like some writers, even like some of my friends, Mac and Legacy, they like Drew, they write. And then I got a homeboy, GS The Dream. He raps, but his pen always kept me on point. Because I'm like, oh, that's really... And then it's interesting. I think all poets need to have some rapper friend that can actually rap preferably. But like, it definitely... like Silent Night, he's always posting battle rap. And I love him too. Like, his work is amazing. But like... I never knew battle rap could actually be good because I'm so used to like, I don't know what I was used to, but like seeing that again.
It's low-key like slam poetry sometimes.
It's literally. And then I think because Strivers Row wasn't necessarily slam, but it was very compelling, not really performative, but very just inviting, and everybody had their own
and
style.
Transparent too.
Yes, because Alicia Harris and her stuff, like...
Hold on. Wait, that performance, it wasn't Alan Stone. Was it Alan Stone? Who was on stage with her and he sang.
Not Death Over Distance.
It was a poem about death. Was it called
the death poem.
The death poem. Yeah. When I tell you every time I watch that poem, I cry because it's just so beautiful.
But Come Dust With Me, insignificant and everywhere. Like just... Oh no, and then she got me when she said, if we believe in life after death, I often wonder why we assume the dead like coffins when people were never made to live in boxes. I was like, wait a minute.
How did you remember that?
Oh yeah, like I love that poem. I love Action Figure. Zora Howard's Waffles got your God and get and left you with and but I know.
When are you writing a book?
I started.
This is the golden question right now. When are you writing the book?
I started off and on writing one because I don't know, my poems, they're now that audiobooks are a thing, I would actually take it seriously because
Mm-hmm.
my poems, if you read them, they don't read how I perform them.
Right.
And a lot of people have said that. Like, so many people, like, throughout the years have been like, I love your words, but I need to hear them perform. But then there are some that I'm not performing that just sound better
'cause
read.
You got poems for different things.
Yeah, so it's like, if I do when I do a book, I need to figure out, do I want to do it like an audible where it's only just me talking? Because then I can get with that. But it's just about figuring out which ones need to be read and which ones need to be performed, and then which ones can be read or performed, because that's another thing. And I think a lot of poets
Go ahead,
don't.
say it. You on the contract?
A lot of poets don't know that there's a difference. Everything you've written, one, doesn't need to be shared. Some
Right.
things are just
For yourself.
purging for yourself, just getting that out, so you're not holding and harboring that stuff in. Then there are some poems that are better read,
Mm-hmm.
like just read to the point where you don't have to memorize them, because there are some poems that you can just sit on the stool and just read and it'd be very captivating. A lot of people don't know how to read, but then it's like there are some poems that you can read like just by myself, and that you can spit with conviction and with some type of so.
Yeah.
And a lot of poets don't know those categories. They just think like, oh, I wrote this and this is fire, which it may be, but you don't have to share it all the time.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing worse than hearing something that's like, that probably would have been well thought out if you would have just kept it a little bit longer, just worked on it, or just even leave it in the notebook.
Yeah, and then sometimes you go back to them too. Like, I know, like, I'll share a piece or something like that, and I'm like, after I've seen it performed, I'm like, I'm gonna go back to that and rewrite it because I don't like the way like it performed. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be able to have that like self-inventory to be like, okay, all right, am I doing this out of ego, or is this really like some, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta kind of self-check yourself, and it comes with experience too, but also like dropping that ego and being like, okay.
And that's something I had to drop, getting back into it, because when COVID hit, I did a virtual show just because I needed to perform. I needed to do something. I was going crazy. And then after that, I didn't perform in Ohio until like 2022, maybe 23, and I've been here since 2020. So just getting over that whole starting over thing. Because like I can go home and be like, oh, I'm gonna throw a Prodigy experience, and I got like this friend wanna come and that friend and this artist, and it's like starting over, like all the way over. Like I'm not even back at home. I was doing retail. Out here I'm doing call center work and work doing like mild medical stuff. So it's like starting over, like getting a name out there, finding a venue, because like the Say Word Wednesday, this has been my favorite show since I've been here, and like the one I've been to most consistently, because like just the atmosphere was what I was looking for, and the people, and just like how you always feel the love in the room. Like no matter who's featuring, no matter what's going on, it's always love and support. Finding stuff like this in a city this big, and then finding out there's stuff in Cleveland and Cincinnati, but like I have to drop my ego so much, because it's like, yeah, nobody cares you was on Brave New Voices. You need to sign this list like everybody else signed this list. Now you can just go ahead and do that. And it's like, but it's fun. Once you get over your ego, and once I got out of my own way and got to just enjoying it, and just not what I've done, the resume doesn't matter, what are you doing now? Yeah. Because I think there's a need for both. It does matter what you've done in the past. Like you need some type of foundation, but also what are you doing now? How are you relevant now? What's going on now? And yeah, what you said about moving egos out the way and stuff, that was definitely a lesson that I had to teach myself quickly. Very quickly.
I definitely had to check myself on that too. When I first seen you perform, it was something that I remembered that I used to watch back in the day. Like when I first started watching people, and when I say back in the day, that sounds so crazy. Like I'm just so old out here, but
there's such a difference though.
There is, because you know, like starting our journey so early, like when I seen you, and what I mean by that is when I seen you perform, I used to watch poets like you and like just be so amazed. So when I first see, I'm like, hold on now. Your performance style, like your transparency, like your writing is just so impeccable. And one of the, I reached out to you. I ain't gotta say what I reached out to you about, but like I just felt compelled to like, I don't know, like to really, really like push you, because I did see that, you may have been just getting back into it. And I'm like, people need to hear him. Like on every stage, like there's no reason why you shouldn't be on every stage in every state. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you just have it. You just have it. And it's not just about talent. You know what I'm saying? Because people can be talented at this. It's about the impact and the way that you make people feel when you perform. And it's just like, yeah. So if I could say one of my favorite poets would be Prodigy the poet, and I mean that for real. So I'm just proud of like where you come from, how you've grown, and I didn't know a lot of your history, but knowing that, it makes sense. And I just hope that you continue to like just propel forward with every experience and every opportunity that you get. Because you that guy.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That wasn't in my script, but
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're amazing. So, what does your writing process look like? Because you know, there's a process in those beautiful poems. You know what I'm saying?
I have to feel. I think, and I don't know if that's a trauma response or but it's like. Example, I have not written a poem about what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. Not because I don't care, not because I feel like I'm above it, just simply I don't have anything to say right now. Mm-hmm. Which is wild because it's like there's tariffs, there's this rumor, there's that rumor, there's so many things going on, and it's like the one thing I did start writing about was them removing certain books out, because it's like, how you gonna base a country off of my people and culture, but you want to pull all of our literature and all of our truth out? That made me care. Yeah. Because it's like, there's nothing without black. Yeah. You don't, white people are literally finding out about the seasonings they came over here for in the first place off of TikTok, off of Black Twitter. Right. Like, they're finding out. So my writing process, even if I'm in love, it's like, I can love you and I can write some bomb love poems, like, because these emotions have to go somewhere. Right. But it has to, I don't know, like something in me has to just click, and then like lyrics will just come out. Like, and then I'll just jot them down. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm putting with this. Okay, and I'll just write it down. I'll just move on, and then I might hear a song, and the song might make me feel something, and then it's like, and I just go back to it. Or sometimes something will just hit me and I'll just write, and I'll just keep writing for an hour or 30 minutes or however. And then whatever's left, I'll just leave it alone, go on about my day, and then come back to it. And it's like, okay, we can tweak that. You didn't have to say that. You said that in another poem actually, and I need you to be more original. Now we need to come with that.
Listen, we be doing that. We be doing that as poets. Like, damn, I forgot I said that.
Like, okay, great, we love that. Now take that out, we're gonna move this. So I have to care, I have to feel it, because it's like, I used to hate going to slams, and you can tell that they wrote the poem towards the judges. Like, they just knew this is gonna get me a 10, and it's like, there's no personality in here. Granted, some people don't have personalities to write with, so that's another thing. And it's like, there's just, this feels forced, and I hate forced things. Like, yes, we know the world is in shambles. Everything you write does not have to be about that, because that's not authentically how you feel. At some point it's not. And I think for me, I think that's what translates, is the transparency that everybody always tells me about. Because in my mind, this is a free therapy session. I have not always had insurance. So, we got to treat these open mic. So a lot of the transparency is me telling myself, I am never going to see y'all ever again. So I don't care what you think about me. And then now it be fucking me up when they come through and I see them again. And it's like, oh, wow.
They came back to see you again, actually. Yeah. They said, Prodigy before I'm coming back.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, wow. I am going to see some of y'all again, huh? And then by that point, you already know my business. So it's like, well, let me tell you some more. So it's like, whatever's bothering me or whatever is just like on my mind. But a lot of times it'll just be a feeling that I'll just have. And it's
Mhm.
like really hard to describe it, but I'll just, somebody will just ask me, like, are you good? And I'll just be sitting there being quiet, like, yeah, because it's like I'm processing, like, what do I feel? What is this? And then lyrics might come out and it might not be a full poem. It might just be just enough for me to let this moment go. It might be a sentence. And
Mhm.
then after a while, I feel it again, go back to it, write on it some more, and then I'll call some of my friends and see, like, hey, what do y'all think about this? And even if I have my poem shared with friends, it's a mix because I feel
Mm.
like poets who only share their work with other poets miss an entire opportunity. I need, it doesn't matter how beautiful the metaphor is the audience going to get it, or is everything going to go over their head? So I'll read it to some of my friends who don't do poetry,
Right.
and then I might find one person that doesn't hear my work or come to a show, and I'll let them hear it because that's a fresh set of ears. You have no expectation, you have not. So yeah, and then I'll just, some critiques I'll take, some of them I won't, and then yeah, perfect it, get it on an open mic, and then see like what the debut performance is. Do I want to keep doing this? Do I not?
Mhm.
And go on about it. But actually writing, and then I don't write that often either.
Mm.
It'll be like maybe every 3 months I'll do, but then when I do write, it
It's
breaks.
flooding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'll be working on 5 poems at one time, and it's like, okay, now wait, because when I had the time for all of this, and it always happens at work, I'll be on
Mhm.
company time, and I'll just be like, and you have to write it down because if you don't write it down, you lose it.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta, okay, hold on, let me check the system real quick.
Yep. Yep. Get the little
I
scissors down.
gotta,
Get the little scissors down.
but yeah, my writing process, it depends on what's going on, and then even people around me. Like sometimes
Mhm.
my friends or family will say something
Right.
and it'll
It's
affect
like,
me.
whoa. And then a
Yeah.
lot of people think every poem you write is about you, and it's like, no, that wasn't
Mm-mm.
my experience. That's just an experience I pulled from somewhere else.
And
So
then
yeah.
I realized it depends on people's writing style because I, in Brave New Voices, that's when I found out I was a storytelling poet. And I never
Mhm.
knew, I just thought poetry was poetry.
Mhm.
But there are people who are storytellers
Right.
and they can do it beautifully. Like not even just myself, because I feel like a lot of your stuff isn't always just about you, and
Mhm.
it comes through so beautifully that I can't tell. And I think that's the mark
Mhm.
of a great writer, is that you can tell somebody else's story with that same authenticity. You can
Right.
tell it with that same compassion. You can tell it from a first person point of view, knowing you were a third. And
Mhm.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about art. And not everybody can do that with stories.
Yeah.
A lot of people, if it didn't happen to them, they can't write about it. And there's nothing wrong with that
Yeah.
because that's still authentic.
Mhm.
I'd rather you know that than to try to do something else. And it's
Right.
like, now you knew.
No dang well you didn't.
Like, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know that was long, but yeah,
No,
that's.
that's perfect answer. Like I yeah. So would you prefer notebooks or um phone? I know
I
everybody's
feel
different.
like I'm gonna sound so old. I prefer notebook.
No, that I would say that that's what most people prefer. I
Hmm.
think I'd be the oddball. Like I will write stuff in my notebook, but I got so many, I will forget about the notebook
Hmm.
unless I'm actually at an event that requires like, all right, bring your notebooks to write. You know what I'm saying? But my
So
phone be, I be
I'll start something in my phone, but I always finish it in my notebook. And then to what you said about forgetting about it in different notebooks, I have my notebooks color coordinated by moods. So I'll
yo, you too advanced for me.
yeah, so it's like
You real
I'll
organized.
have now I'm gonna have to bring my notebooks one
Yes,
day,
because I need
but
to see this.
I have the regular just college ruled notebooks. Those are my rough drafts, or those are
Okay.
my, I'm just like transferring from the phone into this notebook. I
Hmm.
just need to see it. I'm a very visual
Yeah.
person. So like I need to see this, and then like my rough drafts, it'll be something here, and then I'll make an arrow or over here and then move that over there. So like it gets real messy real fast. So then after that, I have a burnt orange notebook, which that is just random because I just like, I love burnt orange. So there'll be like poems in there that resonate well with me or like something a little bit more personal. Then there's a brown notebook I have that says thoughts on there that has some older pieces, but even that has a range. There's like a purple notebook I have with specifically positive poems. I got another book with just love poems. So then that way, when I do a show, even when I'm putting a set together, it's like, okay, what's going on right now? What do I have to say? Like, why did I say yes to this? Like, because I'll get offers or inquiries about a show, and if I don't have nothing to say, it's like I just, hey, let me catch you another time. Like, I appreciate it, but right now I can't. Just because, like, I take all that seriously.
Yeah.
So then when I go and put a set together, I'm pulling from different notebooks because it's like, okay, these may have happened in different parts of my life, but they make sense now. And then let's put these together. Let's do them. So yeah, and sometimes I'll scroll through my phone and I'll be like, now what is in here? Did I ever finish this? And then it's like, I did finish that. What notebook would that have been? And then I go to it. And then even with the final drafts, there's a final draft performance because some of these poems, it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna memorize this. So if I need to read it, I'm not about to just read it off that college bound. I need to, oh, that's a nice notebook. Thank you. It's suede. And you just go, see that? Yeah, like let me distract them because I take memorizing so seriously.
Yeah.
Like just growing up doing Brave New Voices, and even prior to Brave New Voices, like my friends and I, we always were off paper.
Yeah.
And even with Cease and I, like she was in the Poet Society at OU, so being off paper is like a thing.
Yeah.
And with me being from Flint, we made sure we knew how to read because, and what I mean by that, like obviously you wrote it, so I hope you know how to read, but like some people are very monotone. They bust that notebook out or that phone,
and there's no personality to it.
No personality. Like make me feel what you felt when you wrote it.
Yeah.
Like just take me back there or as close as you can. So there are poets in Flint who strictly read but they have vocal inflations. And you can learn something from anybody because my voice is very monotone, it's very dry unless I'm like putting energy into it or there's an emotion, but even sometimes that doesn't come through. So like even when I'm doing poetry, I'm very mindful, like, hey, inflate, go down, like you have to do more than just talk when you're reading. So but yeah, to answer your question, a notebook.
Yeah.
Definitely a notebook.
Okay. All right. So my next question is, how do you want your art or poetry to be perceived by people? Or do you?
However it hits them.
Yeah.
When I was in Flint, we used to do, I forgot what we called it. We used to call it a poetry tour, basically, where we would go to, and it was only one place, but we went to Northwestern High School for Miss Fields.
Okay.
And that was one of Miss Fields and Miss Consiglio were two of the best, if not the best, English teachers at Flint schools. And Miss Fields would always have us come through every April for Poetry Month so we can show the students that poetry isn't just Shakespeare and like what they're reading in their textbooks. Like it's very much alive and it has like rhythm and a beat. And there was a love poem that I did, which I always say this poem is about nothing. It's just beautiful words that I just wanted to do. I just wanted to write the poem. It literally has no purpose. It's just a very nicely written poem. It made 3 of the guy students in there cry.
Really?
And I was like, and they was like, this is so beautiful. I said, dang, I can't even tell you. I have to take that because to me, and then I think that's the beautiful thing about art is that every poet can attest, and probably you too. Your favorite line in a poem is hardly ever the one that people say rewind on, or hardly ever anybody else's stand out. And I think that right there shows how art is supposed to be interpreted because it's like I care to a degree, but I just want it to reach you, and however it lands, that's cool. I'm not about to sit here and do How to Get Away with Murder, and if you have a direct experience with it, tell you like, oh no, I was just thinking about this and that. Like, no, if that's what you got, like, no, let's talk about that because I didn't know I was that deep. Tell me more. Like, you know, like sometimes, like I love hearing other people's interpretation of my work. Like Henny Tales, I performed that a few times.
Love it.
Thank you. One of my friends just found out that that's another poem that I say is about nothing. And they were like, how? You're literally I said, I never tell you what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I compared it to Solange's Cranes in the Sky. I said, what was the it? She never told you what it was, but she was avoiding it the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, and they just sat there like, no, it's about this. Like, no, you put that on there. That's not what is
That's
in
how
the
you
song.
interpret
Yeah.
it. And
And I
okay.
said, that's the same thing with Henny Tales, because with me, I was just avoiding my problem. I'm just trying to drink and we'll worry about this later.
Yeah.
But so many people felt seen in that moment, whether they were going through the same thing or knew somebody that went through it or almost didn't come out of it themselves. Like, there's so many. So yeah, there's so many ways to be appreciated and so many ways to just be received. Some people might just hear it and say, it's not for me, but this is not, and that's cool too. Like, I used to care. I used to care a lot, especially doing slams. Like, I always want a 10. And then I quit slamming just to be like, okay, do you like writing?
Yeah.
Because you can teach anybody how to perform. You can't teach people how to write. Either you can or you can't.
Yeah.
And if you have a passion for it, it makes it better. And a pastor from my old church had said, somebody else's deliverance is predicated on you, but you're so busy being embarrassed by it. Like, there's so many people who can get their breakthrough if you would stop feeling ashamed of something. And I took that, and that's what I care about. Is there's at least one person in this room that needed to hear something, whether I was joking or whether I meant it. There's something in here for everybody or somebody, and the somebody is what I always care about. Like, did you get what you need?
Yeah.
And even if those people, because a lot of them may not tell you. A lot of people may just see themselves in what we say.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah. And but then they'll follow you, they're double tap, they might slide in and they may never say a word. But knowing within myself, because you can always tell in the audience, like, who's making the most eye contact. You can always tell. Thank you for that. Like, that's what I've grown to care about, is people getting what they need from me.
And that's what I seen in you, like, outside of being a phenomenal writer and performer, was the intention. I think that's what separates most people. It's like, I have the intention to rate this from my experience, but I also have the intention to want somebody else to be able to get it and take it home with them, however they perceive that. So yeah.
And that looks differently for everybody, because everybody's that quote that I always thought was so cliche about everybody has a silent battle that you don't know about. Becoming an adult and growing up, it literally is always something, and everybody always has something, but then there's always space for other people's somethings.
Right.
And I think when people come to open mics or come to poetry shows or anything that's not work or an obligation, I feel like they should be fed in some type of way. There should be something in here for you that rejuvenates you, even just a little bit, to get you going, to let you know, like, okay, I feel seen. And just go back, recharge, and just do it all over again.
Yeah.
Like, I think intention, because like I just said earlier, when people were writing to get 10s from a slam and it wasn't authentic, that's what I, and even now, like when I did the slam a couple months ago, like I picked poems. I was like, okay, if I never make it out the last round, what would I want them to have remembered me by? What would I want my last words to be? Like, even if I don't place, what do I want to leave with people?
Yeah.
And just go from there.
Oh, I'm dropping gems. Dropping gems. I love that. I really, really do. So coming down to the last couple questions.
Okay.
Definitely, what are some of your goals with poetry? Like, how far do you want to take it with where you are right now?
I have so many dreams.
Yeah.
I always used to say that I want my poetry to be taught in Flint schools. And my mom was like, why Flint schools? I said, because they're broke. And if I can make it in a broke book, I can make it in any of them. So she was like, that's a very dramatic way. And I'm like, just like, no, because honestly, a lot of inner city schools don't have funding. So if they get a book that got me in it, I know I'm at Harvard somewhere. I know I'm at Yale somewhere. So like, I would like that. I would like to just see what happens. Like just getting back into it. It feels like poetry is becoming more respected and more like prevalent in the world as a
Yeah.
whole. I feel like when Striver's Row was popping, it was also really big then,
Hmm.
but I don't know. It felt like something stopped it, and then you see peaks of it. Like
Yeah,
you
it was just like
see,
waves of yeah.
yeah, like it literally waves, and then you'll see a Wale. You'll see people doing stuff like that. You'll see Common. You'll see so many people
Hmm.
in the middle of it, or even just well written artists like Black and everything. So it's like I would just like to write, whether
Hmm.
that's for somebody because I've been asked to like write on some R&B projects or
Hmm.
certain things like that. I just want to see what happens. I just want to be a writer and
Yeah.
just see like where that takes me, the rooms that I could get in and things like
Yeah. Well, listen, you on your way.
that.
You're on
Appreciate
your
it.
way. Um, what are some obstacles you feel like you face like as an artist, like along the journey? It could be personal obstacle that prevented you from like writing or performing. Like, what would you say?
Overthinking.
Overthinking. Mm.
Overthinking. Because overthinking and not trusting my gut. Like,
Mm.
because a lot of times in the middle of overthinking, there is an answer. We just don't trust the answer. So we want to have alternatives for
Right.
what the
Right.
answer is. So that was a big obstacle. Like, there was somebody before that when I was doing poetry, like just coming up, they always had bookings. And I'm like, dang, why can't I always get them? But that
Hmm.
person was okay with, I just want to be on a
Accepting
stage.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, not
accepting, well,
anything in that way,
but
but
pretty
yeah.
much like I just want to get out there. I just want to put my name out. And me, I am so picky. I'm like, I'm not performing here. I'm
Yeah.
not performing there. Definitely not doing that. And then it's
Same.
like, yeah, so it's because it's like just because there's a microphone in the room doesn't mean I have to be in front of it. Like I could just enjoy it, and some stuff is just not for me.
Yeah. Where's
Like,
the room at exactly? Like where we
mm-hmm,
about to be? Like
yeah,
what type of you know what I'm saying,
mm-hmm,
energy am I walking into? Like
yeah.
that's something that you gotta pay attention to.
It's so and so many times I've either performed in spaces I shouldn't have,
Yeah.
or didn't perform in spaces that I should have because it's like, or I'll perform what I practiced instead of what I felt because I couldn't
Mm.
tell you how many when I did Flint the first time about my brother. Um, that wasn't what I was going to perform originally. It was that poem was in the middle of my mind. It wasn't in the back, but it was definitely in the middle. So I'm like, that wasn't. But then I felt the energy, and a lot of people don't know when to pivot or how to because what you practice, at least for me, I could practice something and get here and change my mind
Yeah, especially
because
based off of what you see in the room and how the energy that you feel. It's like, I
mm-hmm.
don't know if I want to do that
Yeah,
anymore. And
yeah.
like,
Or at least if I have an opportunity to do two poems, like let me do what I feel first so I can like get that out the way. Because there's nothing worse than doing a poem while thinking about the poem you should have did on the other side of your head. It's just like, now if I stumble, I'm gonna be mad.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but yeah, I think those were my major obstacles because I can't even blame people or circumstance. I mean, I could, but it's like, the new healed and therapy version of me. It's like, you
okay,
know what?
it was
Yeah,
me.
no, you could have. Yeah, it was. And I've been realizing going to therapy, I have found myself at the root of all my problems in some shape or form. It's like, wow,
Telling you,
like it was me all along. Like I just felt
yeah,
like Agatha all along. Like, wow, it really was me. It
yeah,
was me the whole time. But recognizing that now and just being like, hey, you're overthinking. Are you doing this or not? Like,
yeah,
just yes or no. Do you want to do this? You do? Okay, act like it. What
right,
do we perform? Like, so like getting straight to the point.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Come on now. Last question that I
Okay.
have for you is if you could say a word to an aspiring poet or artist, what would that be? What kind of advice would you give to somebody? And you can, if you would like
Look at
to
the
look.
camera. Okay, so let me see. Two inspiring writers. Do what you feel. Like write what you feel, write what's authentic to you, write what means something to you. And find your find your niche, find your audience, find your show, your venue, your tribe, but just do what feels right for you and
Mhm.
don't talk yourself out of it and don't let other people talk you out of what feels right. Know when to take advice and know when to trust yourself, and know that those two things are mutually exclusive. Be you.
Come on. He's done this before, okay?
Just a couple times. Just a couple times.
Listen, y'all, that was Couch Conversations, episode 4 with Prodigy the Poet. Make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's Say Word Wednesdays. Follow us on Instagram at also Say Word Wednesdays. Keep in touch with us, and we're always going to be doing more episodes. Tell them where they can find you.
You can follow me on Instagram at _IamProdigy. And YouTube is coming soon, but follow me there first, and then you'll see everything else.
Hey,
Thank you so much.